All right, guys, welcome back to Crossman Productions. Man, it has been a crazy busy week. I told you guys that we have a just a all-star lineup of people coming on this week. So, uh, setting that up. I'm also working on something I'm going to surprise you guys with tomorrow. Well, I'm working on it tomorrow, but I'll release it sometime either this week or next week. Wait, you guys are going to see something a little bit different from the Crossman Production show. So I'm excited about that. Man, we've been really busy. We have the new store, merch store that's opened up. So definitely go check out www.crossmanproductions.com. Go check out the merch. We'll be uploading some new merchandise. We have some cups, beer mugs, shot glasses, water jugs. We got a new design for our t-shirts. So definitely don't want to miss that. Check that out. And as always, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share, so you keep track of what all the news and all the stuff that we have coming up. So now, with that said, I'm really excited about my next guest. So I told you guys we have a jam-packed week, so we're going to kick it off with a friend of mine that I met on Facebook that I'm excited about introducing to you guys. So I'm going to bring in Mythodical Joe, and hopefully he tells me I didn't butcher his name. So hold on one second. I get it right,
Hey,
Methodical Joe.
what's going on?
So I didn't butcher it, right?
No, you got it right. It's all good. Yeah, you
All
you
right, cool,
did well.
awesome. So how's it going, bro? How you doing?
It's going, man. It's been a whirlwind.
Cool, man. So like I said, I saw your stuff on Facebook, and so I was like, man, I gotta get this guy on the show, man. So for people who don't know, well, we'll call you Joe, but Joe does. He's an actor and he's a rapper. So I saw some of your music. I loved your music, man. Um,
Thank you. I appreciate it.
and then some of the acting. I haven't seen any of the films, but I saw that you have an IMDb page, and so you have some stuff out, which you'll get to share with us, and we can find out more about some of the projects. So thank you again so much for being on the show. I'm really excited about having you on. So we're gonna get started.
Thank you much for having me.
So why don't you can I tell everybody a little bit about yourself? Kind of where you were born and raised, and what was life like for you growing up?
So I kind of grew up all over the place.
Mhm.
I was my father was in the army.
Okay.
Um, so I actually was born in Germany. Funny story because the hospital in Italy that day was closed for some reason. So
Oh,
they had to fly my mom to Germany. I was born. We bounced back to Italy for a couple years. Came back stateside, Baltimore, New York, Virginia, and just kind of bounced around from there.
right.
Um, and that was kind of my upbringing. It was a new place to land every couple years, which was always different. I mean, cool to see different states and a couple of different countries, but it was kind of always this starting over period because no place was ever really home um, until later on in life when I started going back to New York and hanging out there.
Cool. So what was that like? So when you moved from Germany back to the States, uh, how old were you about that time?
From like newborn, I was in Italy till I was like 3 or 4, somewhere around there.
Okay, so you moved in. You moved back pretty like you were still pretty young. Um, so
Yeah,
you know,
and then
and so you kind of bounced back and forth. You said Baltimore, New York, Virginia.
right,
Cool. So
Atlanta. My mom was originally from the Atlanta area, so I've got family out there. So lived out there for a while. Um, like I said, and then just kind of bounced around from there.
right.
Japan, Hawaii. Virginia, uh, Baltimore, just kind of everywhere.
Wow, man. So what was that like, as a kid? Going from state to state and kind of having to start over. How did that did that affect you in any way? Or
Yeah, I mean, you really never had, like I said, you never really kind of had a place to lay down roots and to call home because it was, you're around for a couple of years and it's up and time to move again. So,
yeah. So how long was your dad in the military for before he actually?
20 years.
Oh wow, that's so he. I mean, he was like a career.
Right.
So
And
cool.
then I came out to California in the late 90s.
Okay.
I was actually in the Navy for a while. Um, I got hurt, came home in '04, um, and then just kind of stayed around, and went from there.
So what was school like growing up, and where did you kind of find your? Because I mean, you're a multi talented guy. You're doing your rap, you're doing your acting. So where did that passion kind of come from?
I was always kind of a theater kid when I was in grade school. My mom, when I got into high school, wanted to keep me busy because I was getting in trouble in grade school. So
Right.
they said, "Hey, as long as we keep him busy, then that'll kind of because every time I got bored, I would get in trouble."
Right.
And so they said if he's got enough activities, then he won't get in any trouble. So I was running track, I was on the newspaper, I was on the drama club, the debate team, like everything that I could do to keep busy,
Right.
they had me in. So I got into theater and into the drama club when I was a freshman in high school, and
Okay.
it just was an outlet that I just kind of fell in love with. So um, getting out of school, I was like, I'm going to be a theater major. I'm going to move to California and I'm going to act. And that was kind of my initial bug into that realm.
Cool. So do you remember like a specific time, or a um, I'll say like a film or not a film, but like because you were in theater, um, like a specific moment where you're like, you know what, you're doing acting, and you're like, this is something I love doing, and this is something I want to do as a career, pursue as a career.
It was probably I had that moment. I was out here doing extra work. I was living right by the ABC studios, so I was doing a lot of work on Grey's Anatomy in like
Oh,
2011. Um, and I remember being on set. I think it was like the third or fourth night I was there. It was a late night. We were shooting till 2 in the morning.
oh,
Um, it had kind of rained, and they needed that for the set, so it was wet. It was kind of chilly. But I remember leaving the set. I remember watching the core cast go through lines and run through these scenes, and I remember leaving thinking they're not doing anything different than what I've already done.
right,
They are just in an opportunity to be able to showcase the same kind of talent. I always thought that there was some kind of hidden magic trick behind what the professionals do versus everybody else. And then I got to watching it and I was like, this is really no different than what I've done in independent films and short films and XYZ. And I was like, I can do this. This is
right,
something that I can do, and I'm gonna take a swing at it.
cool. So I have two questions for you. With that, so being in California, um, especially because Greg's Anatomy was really big, like um, late '90s, like 2000. Um, um, Being in California, where you were at, do you find it that's easier to get into film, or is it like saturated and it's kind of hard to get, like land a role somewhere?
Um, you definitely it's kind of a mix because you definitely living here, you are competing with everybody else,
Right.
but at the same time, there's multiple and vast opportunities to network with people to get through certain stepping stones. I got my first gig, um, my first speaking role in an indie film, which allowed me to join the union back in, I think again it was like 2011, 2012, because I had joined a theater group, and one of the guys that was in the theater group had I we did like two plays a year, and one day out the blue he calls me and he was like, "Hey, do you still have your LAPD uniform?" Because I had a bunch of uniforms I used for auditions and whatnot.
Right.
And I said, "Yeah." I said, I still have everything. Why?" And he was like, "We're shooting this film. Do you want to play a cop in this movie?"
Mhm.
And he's like, "It's a speaking role. It'll, help further your career and it'll get you into the union."
Right.
And I was like, "Yeah, I'm all over it." And he was like, "Be it, I'm going to text you an address. Be here in an hour."
Oh wow.
And I drove out there. We shot the scenes. I got to drive a cop car. We did what we came to do,
Right.
and that was kind of the kickoff. But that all stemmed from me knowing this individual in his company. So yes, it is a little saturated. I mean, everybody comes to either California or New York and Atlanta start to do anything now. But in that same breath, it's networking is a big key. They always say it's not what you know, it's who you know. So
Right.
being here and being in the mix of things gives you the opportunity to meet people, talk to individuals, get to know folks, and help escalate your career just based on who you know. So and I'm okay with that.
Cool. So now, did you, when you were there, as you started to progress in your career, did you ever do like a theater school or anything like that, like for like professional training?
I was always taught to always keep advancing your education, behind TV, film, theater, whatever. So I've always taken a bunch of professional classes, um, and tried to upkeep my education on that side of the fence.
Right.
Because everybody comes out of school with a BFA or whatnot, and that's
Right.
great groundwork. But once you kind of get into the real and the mix of things, you have to take classes, and you have to do something within the states you're living in if you're trying to progress the career.
Okay. So now, when you as you were doing
So
your
that's what I've been
acting,
doing. Well,
okay. I'm sorry. You
say again.
you kind of froze up on me, so I didn't catch that last part. Did you say?
I was just saying that all these theater kids and film and TV kids come in, and everybody's got a degree, got a BFA in something, theater
Yeah.
wise, but you always got to take classes, and whether it's improv, on camera, film, TV, you have to enroll in something in the state that you're living in to kind of help progress
Right.
your career from there.
Cool. So now, because you're a rapper, so where did that
Right.
kind of fit in? Where
That kind of started in high school. I was it was me and three other individuals in school kind of started this little impromptu hip hop group called the Black Plague. And we would do little talent shows at school and whatnot. And that was
right.
kind of my first um, inkling taste of doing music and kind of writing rhymes and whatnot.
Right.
Um, and then I kind of just left it alone till about fast forward about 2005. Um, I met some people out here that had a studio, and I was like, I think I want to work on some music. And
Right.
what started out as like a 3 to 5 song demo turned into a full like 15 song album,
Oh wow.
called Two Sides to Every Story.
Right.
And so we this was back at CD days. So, I sold about 1,000 copies.
Oh, wow.
totally raw album. I had to sit down with Capitol Records in like '06, and they were like, "We like the content, but the production needs a lot of work." And I was
Right.
like, "All right, well, cool. This is Capitol Records. Can we just, get the ball rolling?" And that was kind of the turn of the industry where they weren't really doing artist development anymore, and they wanted a package that was already done that they could just put their stamp on it and distribute out to the world.
Right. But the stuff that I've seen on
And that
your Facebook,
defeated me because I was all, I'm broke. And
the stuff that I've
say
seen on your
again?
Facebook, the stuff that I've seen on your YouTube, the music videos, I thought they were like they're so yeah, it's really good quality for the songs that you're doing.
Thank you.
So it sounds like
Thank you.
You've come a long way, from your days in.
Yeah. I learned a lot back then, and I had cut out of music for about 12 to 13 years. I started working on this latest album about 2019, and I, older, wiser, got with
Right.
some more professional individuals, and just started kind of working on something I originally thought was going to be a demo, and then it turned into a 14-track album.
Oh, wow. So that's the thing too is because I used to do television shows back when you actually had to go to the studio to do television shows. So
Right.
the technology now from back then is so incredible. I mean, there's so much now that you could do that you literally couldn't have done back then. And so like you going into Capitol Records, doing a what that professional the professional music made and all the production side of it. Back then that stuff was really expensive to do. It wasn't something you could just jump in. You had to go hire people. You had to show up at a studio. I mean, there was a lot to it. Now, there's so much technology out there. You just stay at home and
kids are shooting videos. Adults and folks are shooting videos with their phones now, and it's a lot easier to get content and to put content out versus 15, 20 years ago.
Right. So, I think more so since the pandemic, like when people coming back from the pandemic,
right?
I think that it's opened up like the floodgates for independent artists, both in film and in music.
Right. You're stuck in the house all day. You got to figure out, something to do.
Right. Exactly. And it's incredible because you're seeing all these talented people just coming out. And I think that pre-pandemic, we'll say, with having those big studios, I feel like that they studied the growth of a lot of talented people because they didn't have the money to go do it. They didn't have the money to go make a it's professional. That's the whole reason you go to these guys. It's to help I mean, you're going to Capitol Records because you're wanting a professional CD made.
Right.
CD. Like, these guys are like, like you said, they wanted you to pretty much have it all done for them. But that's back then that was really expensive to do.
Right. Right.
So studio time was roughly about what, $400 an hour, something like that. And so you look at that, and then shoot any kind of video.
Right.
That was a couple of $1,000s in itself.
Right.
You're looking about what, maybe $4,000 or $5,000 for somebody to shoot a video. So so nowadays it's just much easier to do.
Right.
So, and it's cool because especially for I get to meet some of the most awesome people now that's coming out, and just talented people, like yourself. Like I said, if anybody hasn't seen, Joe's music, we're gonna put his YouTube channel's details in the detail section of this video. Don't you guys go check it out, man? I mean, like I said, I really like what he's doing. So let me ask you this: going through all the stuff that you've gone through, what do you think is the biggest lesson that you've learned so far?
The biggest lesson that I have learned so far, um, patience.
Mm,
I'm still learning that. It's I'm not 25, 26, 27 years old anymore,
right,
and I'm trying to compete with all of these young kids coming out. And so I'm looking at the entire clock, as a whole, and it's like,
right,
hey, I don't have a whole lot of time to kind of break into this industry, at this age. So the what I have to remind myself, especially nowadays, is that it's gonna happen at in due time. To keep plugging along and to keep putting out content.
right. Cool. I noticed too that, especially in rap music has changed so much. Um, you
It
know,
has.
yeah. So from the time we've done it, like my son, he loves rap, and the stuff that he listens to now, I'm like, I don't know, but it's kind of gone far away from like Tupac and oh, looks like we lost him. All right, give us a second and see if we can get him back in. Oh no, that's all right, guys. Sorry about the technical difficulty. Man, give us a second here. Just as we're talking about technology, there we go. It's funny, just as we're talking about technology, and
Right. Gotta love it.
yeah. So but the good thing is even with the technology we have, even though it's here's what I have to remember: this stuff is new, so it has its you're going to run into these technical difficulties, but it still gives you a platform that we never had before.
Right.
Yeah. So, anyways, yeah. So you were talking about the big thing you learned was patience, and I was saying too
Right.
that the music industry has changed so much. You know,
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting old. I don't know, man. I just because I know my parents did the same thing with me when I was listening to uh, rap back then. So you got Tupac, NWA, but now the stuff that they're listening to, I'm like, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of lost its creative edge. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think
Right. It's
that
it's and I think Nicki Minaj said it best a while back. She said nowadays it's more about being popular than being good.
right. Well, and then there's no real message in their stuff anymore. Like
Right.
rap used to be, it was an outlet and it was a message, and um, there was always some kind of a meaning behind
Right.
the music. You know what I mean? And I feel like now that they're missing that point. Yeah, everybody's waving guns in the air and everybody's it just it's more like, and that's the other thing too, is they miss the storyline in the music.
Right.
Because now everybody's got the camera on them and it's all them. All your homies. And everybody's just dancing or whatever they're doing, but there's no story. Where's the story? Where's the meaning? You know what I mean, behind it. So like I said,
Right.
I might just be getting old. It might be me, but I miss those days. I miss those days. Like, give me some music that I
Right.
can jam to and
And
feel
that
like
was
some kind
kind
of
of
message.
right. And that was kind of the catalyst to why I did the album that I did this time
Right.
around, and the song selection based on the title, Something to Say, because I felt like there was a lot that needed to be talked about, with what it had transpired and what's been going on in the world the last couple of years,
Right.
that I felt like needed to be discussed, and I wanted to use the platform to do so.
Right. And that right there was what music was created for originally, anyways.
Right,
So anyway,
right.
I'll get off my soapbox on that point.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I'm just that's why I got into making this type of album this time around. Um,
Right.
and I'm hoping that I can reach the masses and get people from our genre to early 30s, late 20s to get to listen to something that actually has some real meaning and a message behind it.
Yeah. So, so now the what did, I'm trying to think of the best way to say. So like when you're with your acting, how long have you been acting like professional?
Since 2011.
2011. Okay, so you've been doing it for quite a while, so about 12 years. So is there a particular movie or a particular role that you would love to play?
Um, I would love to play. I always get cast as the bad guy. It's either one or the other. It's either the head of the NSA or an escaped convict that's kind of half cuckoo and half crazy.
Right.
Um, but I would love to be able to play somebody that was of the Hannibal Lecter evil.
Oh wow.
Um, Somebody that in a film, which is again kind of missing most of these days nowadays. But to do a film that is very character driven,
Right.
and to be able to showcase the depth and the levels that I know that I can play.
Right.
So still kind of staying in that bad guy realm, quote unquote, but
Right.
being able to stretch that into something that is purely based on the character itself.
Right. So and that reminds me of what was that Jodie Foster movie that they did with Hannibal?
Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs, exactly. Something like that. I mean, it's been a while since we had like a really good movie because we get all these horror movies. It's all the shock factor, the blood and gore, but you do miss getting characters like somebody that comes in that's the way they did with Hannibal on that
Right.
movie, where it was like you say character driven, where the actor actually gets to perform that actual character.
Right.
Nowadays it's just put a clown in something or just it's more shock factor. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we're due for another movie like that. So anybody out there that's thinking about doing a movie, there you go. Go hit up Joe on that one.
I'll take it.
Yeah, right that one. Let's get that movie made. So now if you could give somebody a piece of advice who's trying to break either into the acting field or into the music, what would your advice be to them?
I would say persistence.
Hmm.
Just keep banging on the door. If it's music, write and record music for you.
Right.
Don't worry about trends and trying to write for the public. Um, Write for you, and the audience will the correct audience will respond accordingly.
Right.
But just keep knocking at the door. I've put out the album has 14 tracks. Um, but I also put out another single that was it was originally for the Crease, so I put that out, and I'm already going through and thinking about singles um, to put out in the fall, and already started working on the next album, which will be out February of next year.
Oh
So
wow.
just because you put out, a demo or you put out an album, like don't stop there. Just keep putting out more
Right.
content and keep promoting what you have and just keep, they said that Tupac had put out like 75 songs at 25.
Wow. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, just be persistent. If it's on the film side, shoot something, whether
Right.
it's a full length feature, if it's a short film, just always be moving forward and being creative.
Right.
If I mean, I understand we're on the strike right now and a lot of things have slowed up, but a lot of my indie filmmakers are like, hey, that's not going to stop me from making, from making movies. Get out
Right.
and like you said, with the avenues that we have now, you can shoot a film on an iPhone.
Right.
So write some content and go shoot it. Whether it's 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 15 or 30, just keep moving forward. Because at some
Exactly.
point,
Right.
somebody is going to answer the door. You just got to keep knocking.
That's true too. And you know what I was thinking about that too. When you think of people like Tupac, and even recently, like with Juice World, even after Tupac was gone, um, they kept pumping out. His music was still coming out like several years after he was already gone. Same thing with Juice World. Juice World,
Right.
they're
Because he was
releasing like
always
stuff
writing
all
and
the time,
recording.
right? So yeah, I
Right.
mean, and then like I know with Tupac, I was like, you know, they kept pumping out his stuff. I'm like, man, how much stuff does this guy have? But I mean, apparently they have like,
You just got to
yeah,
keep the catalog, just keep writing and record. I've probably got 30 other songs that haven't even been, released yet because I keep writing and I'm going to keep flooding the market with my product.
cool. So let me ask you, with the music, there's so many avenues out there. What do you think is the best or most effective platforms for music?
Um, YouTube, and any of the distributing websites now that can get your music on Apple Music, Spotify, iTunes, Pandora, all of these digital platforms now, you know, when I started on my very first album and we were selling CDs, I sold 1,000 copies to local people. When that was all I could touch,
Right,
because we're physically trying to reach out to the people, physically.
right.
This album that's out now, I'm at I think 21,000 streams
Wow,
since the end of March. There's no way in the world that I would have been able to touch 20,000 people, by myself, even going door to door. It just wouldn't have worked.
right,
So, um, and there's so many people nowadays that have gotten famous off of YouTube.
right,
Um, that's how T Pain got discovered.
right,
Justin Bieber got discovered. So to anybody, use the outlets because YouTube is free.
right. So,
So whether it's film or music, shoot it,
right,
get it on YouTube, and get it out.
I agree. YouTube has been like, huge, instrumental, with pushing content. And then you got these the streaming platforms now for people who are independent filmmakers. So you
Right.
have TV, you have Freebie, you got some Amazon Prime, you got a lot of
Right.
platforms now that are willing to work and distribute independent films.
Right.
I love independent films because for me, watching all these independent filmmakers come out, I feel like that the content that they put out is more creative because
Right.
you have to give and take. I mean, yes, they don't get the big budget that the big companies get, but the big companies keep pulling. To me, they keep pushing out the same stuff over and over. It's the same Fast and Furious or Jurassic Park or whatever. But I think that the independent films are just they're more creative. I mean, there's better ideas, and then I wish these had budget, to help them. But I see a lot of these independent filmmakers that's doing like some really awesome work. So cool. So let's talk about some of your projects. So I've seen the music. So let's talk a little bit about some of your films, and
Okay.
kind of what you've done so far. Maybe where we can find some of those, and then we'll talk about some of the projects that you're currently working on.
Okay. Well, the last one that I worked on was actually distributed through Amazon, as we were just talking about.
Mhm.
Trying to remember. Oh, yeah, I lost my train of thought. So, yeah, the last film that I was on got distributed through Amazon. Shout out my man George Jack. He directed it, wrote it. It took him forever to finally get it out, but that actually aired. Was it earlier this year or the end of last year? Um, it's a film called Last Chance. It's on
Okay.
Amazon on Prime now. Um, I play the director of the NSA. It's a crime thriller, and like you said, you know, with that avenue, he was able to get the content out and put a whole. I think it's like 90 minutes,
Oh wow.
um, and we did a full length feature. So that's the last project that I've on the film side that I've worked on. Um, but it's kind of slow recently, which is why I had kind of gotten back into music full swing because it was something that I could control and work at my own pace and not have to wait for my agent or wait on the opportunities. I can write and work on my own music, in real time.
Right. So in the film, have you thought about being like directing your own film or
One
writing a film?
day, I did a couple years ago. I co-wrote a short film um, called "Broken Choices." I'm losing my mind here. Um, and we wrote it, but we never got the budget to get it off the ground. So at some point, I would like to I would like to cast and shoot that and just kind of get that vision out and on screen.
Right.
Um, but that's a little further down the road. Um, I want to get more time in front of the camera before I jump behind it.
Right. It makes sense too. I was thinking though, with the music that you've done, some of those music videos, I can easily see you pursuing as uh, a filmmaker too, because I mean, like I said, the videos were done, really well. Uh,
Thank you. And those were all. I mean, I had shout out to my man Gary Ruff. He shot three of them, and he shot everything, but everything was kind of in my head, and this is kind of the way I wanted it to work out. And so, in a sense, I kind of directed, those,
right.
but it's kind of hard to direct something. And shout out to the Michael B. Jordan who directed Creed 3. But shout out to the directors that are starring in the same films that you are directing because you're having to
Mhm.
direct yourself and then look at the playback and then it's kind of uh, a double whammy, cumbersome deal. So
Right.
let me swing for the fences with these videos and this music first, and
Right.
use that as a caveat and a catalyst to get back into film full swing.
Right. And you're talking, talk about that starring in films that you direct. I can imagine, for somebody who's, a perfectionist, when you're going
Right.
back and you look at yourself, you're like, oh, I got to do better than that, and you go back and, I can imagine the stress that would cause.
Right.
I would probably be that way too. We never leave us the scene. I'd be like, oh, we're in
Right.
this
So you need
50
somebody to
times.
say, look, this is good. Let's move on.
Right.
Because if it was left up to myself, and I'm a very, very big perfectionist, I had to learn that with getting this album finished, where my people that were working on it were like, okay, no, we're done with this song. We have to move on, because leave it up to me, I would be fine tuning and fixing every little thing every time we turned the corner, and we
Right.
would have never actually gotten the album finished.
Right. Yeah. I'd be
So
the same. Yeah.
yeah, I had to learn to let go. It's still not where I wanted it to be,
Right.
but me being me, I don't think it ever. You're kind of chasing a unicorn.
Right. Right. Well, cool, man. So, won't you share where they can find? So, you have the Last Chance movie. It's on Amazon Prime.
Right.
Um, you have anything that's coming out that's going to be as far as film and music?
Nothing on the film terms right now. I am gonna my personal goal right now.
Mhm.
I'm shooting 2 videos before the end of summer.
Okay.
The first one I think we're gonna actually start working on in around the second week of July. Um, for one of the singles off the album called Unbreakable. And that's a track that I did that's kind of about my life and all the near death experiences that I've had.
Right.
And we kind of put that into this music form. And shout out to and rest in peace, my man Alias, who did the hook on the track. He actually passed away last year, so it was kind of fitting to put all of this together in one song and one video. So I'm gonna shoot that, and then the next video that I plan on shooting is for one of the tracks called "You." Shout out to my girl Kajay. She is on that track, and that is kind of a fun, romantic summertime track. This kind of back and forth between her and I. Basically about a guy saying that, I'm here for you, you're here for me. Let's make a go of it. So we're gonna work on that probably end of July. So that's what I got going on right now. I just had a show Saturday night. Shout out to my girl Kira and the whole Jump Off family. That was a nice little success. So I'm sure there's gonna be a couple shows coming up between now and the end of summer. I'm just kind of taking the ball as it comes. But the 2 videos for sure. People can find me on Instagram, Methodical Joe, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Something to Say is the album. It is out on Apple Music slash iTunes, Spotify, YouTube Music, Pandora, anywhere that anybody can listen to music. The album is out there. So yeah, just come tap in with you and go from there.
Cool. And then we're going to put the links in the detail section of the video too. So about the interview, so that way people can go in there and check it out. Yeah, definitely, you guys go check out the music, check out the films. Now I know that you have a film out there on Amazon Prime. I'm going to go check that out. And then so I'm excited, man. So thank you, brother, so much for being on the show, man. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. I very much appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate it, and thank you for having me.
Cool. So as we keep knocking this stuff out, man, you're more than welcome to come back on, and we'll promote whatever you have coming out. So definitely love to have you back on.
Will do. Will do. Definitely.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Like I said, we got like a jam-packed week. So Friday we have Venus Monique from the show Vindication. Um, Saturday we have Bishop Stevens, former WWE wrestler, and now he's doing all these action movies. So yeah, so we got like a huge lineup this week. So make sure you guys keep tune in. Hit that subscribe, like, comment, share, hit the notification bell. So that you guys can keep track of everything we're doing. And definitely go check out the new store, www.crossman.com. I'm really excited about that and bringing up this new merch. So with that said, thank you again, Joe, for being on. We're gonna definitely be pushing your stuff. You guys, whenever this video is over, give us about maybe an hour or so, and we'll make sure that we have all the links to Mythodical Joe's social medias, and so you can go check out his music and his movies. Until next time, remember, guys, you're uniquely designed with a purpose, and always keep moving forward. Peace.